Mary Carter settlement agreements, named for the first published decision to mention them, are controversial. Some jurisdictions prohibit them altogether, and the jurisdictions that allow them closely regulate them. The Texas Supreme Court explained Mary Carter agreements in 1992's Elbaor v. Smith. Carole Smith suffered a compound fracture of her ankle in a car crash. In Dallas, Dr. Abraham Syrquin performed emergency surgery. 8 days later, Smith was transferred to Arlington Community Hospital, where Dr. Joseph Stevens and Dr. James Elbaor took over her case. 3 years later, Smith's ankle had to be surgically shortened and fused, leaving her permanently disabled. Smith sued the hospital and all her doctors. Prior to trial, Smith entered into a Mary Carter agreement with the hospital, Syrquin, and Stevens, whom we'll now call the settling defendants. Under the agreement, the settling defendants paid various amounts to Smith, but would nevertheless participate in the trial. Smith would reimburse the settling defendants from any amount she recovered from Elbaor. The court reluctantly approved the Mary Carter agreement, but required the parties to fully disclose the agreement's details to the court. During voir dire, the court and trial counsel explained the agreement and its implications to prospective jurors. When witnesses who might have been biased by the agreement testified, the court warned the jury of the potential bias. To minimize Elbaor's disadvantage, the court granted him the same number of peremptory challenges as Smith and the settling defendants combined. The settling defendants weren't allowed to lead each other's witnesses, as is usually allowed during cross-examination of an opposing witness. Trial evidence established that Syrquin's negligence had probably rendered Smith's ankle unrestorable even before Stevens or Elbaor began treatment. The settling defendants sat at the defense table, even though they assisted Smith in blaming Elbaor. Despite establishing Syrquin's negligence, Smith nevertheless argued that Elbaor, not Syrquin, caused Smith's disability. The jury awarded Smith over $2.2 million, determined that Elbaor was 88% responsible, and that Syrquin was 12% responsible. After various calculations, the trial court entered judgment against Elbaor for over $1.8 million. The trial court denied Elbaor's motion to vacate the verdict, and the Court of Appeals affirmed. Elbaor appealed to the Texas Supreme Court.